Chapter 16. River still received occasional cryptic emails, not from Ireland directly, she remained blocked, but from anonymous accounts referencing his private life, his location. Enjoying Scotland, Mr. Hayes? One read, its casual tone chilling in its implied surveillance. Your fans miss you. The real ones. Another contained a link to an obscure fan forum where a new theory was circulating. Is River Hayes hiding in Edinburgh? Sources say. He never clicked the links, always deleting them immediately, but the knot of unease would tighten in his stomach. Someone was still watching. Someone was still trying to find him. He suspected Ireland was still at the heart of it, a relentless, vindictive presence fueled by her continued hatred and Lakin's despair. He knew Lakin was struggling with the outcome of the divorce, her expected financial windfall significantly reduced. Ireland, in her twisted loyalty, would undoubtedly be stirring the pot, looking for new ways to inflict damage, to undermine River's peace. He and Kate discussed it, their voices low, their faces grim. They tightened their home security, varied their routines, always alert, always vigilant. Their shared concern a new, quiet layer of their intimacy. Sometimes a distant flash of a camera lens from a passing car, or a stranger lingering a moment too long outside the school gates, would send a jolt of panic through River. He would instinctively pull Liam and Finn closer, his body tensing, shielding them from the unseen threat. The thought of his biological family, of Regan and Ralph and Frankie, still remained a dormant fear. He knew they were aware of his fame, and likely his public unmasking. He expected them to try and resurface, to exploit his notoriety, to demand access, to seek financial gain. He had his lawyer on standby, prepared to issue restraining orders to fight their inevitable attempts at intrusion. The long-term impact of his exposure, the chilling permanence of being a public figure stripped bare, was a heavy burden. He would never again have true anonymity. He would always be the velvet mask, whether he wanted to or not, haunted by the specter of his past and the constant threat of public scrutiny. But now he faced it with Kate by his side, her unwavering love a powerful shield against the darkness. He was no longer running alone. He was fighting for her, for the boys, for their shared peace, even if it meant a life forever shadowed by the lingering threat. Their love was a beacon, but the world outside was a constant reminder of the shadows. The Edinburgh sky, often draped in a soft gray mist, reflected the complex tapestry of River's reimagined future. It was a life far removed from the dazzling lights of global fame or the sterile precision of a hospital operating room. Yet it was filled with a profound, quiet purpose, a love that transcended the chaos of his past. He was still River, the man haunted by ghosts, marked by scars, burdened by a lifelong sense of unworthiness. The profound grief for Vera remained, a constant ache in his heart, softened by the cherished memories of her unwavering love. The betrayal of Lakin and Ralph, the insidious malice of Ireland, still festered like old wounds, occasionally flaring with a sharp pang of pain. And the lingering threat of his exposed identity, the persistent pursuit of the velvet mask, was a shadow that would likely follow him for the rest of his days. But now, he faced it all with Kate, his anchor, his truth. Their love story had deepened, strengthened, forged in the crucible of his public unraveling. Kate's unwavering belief, her fierce protectiveness, her profound understanding of his complex trauma, had been his salvation. She loved him, not despite his brokenness, but because of his resilience, his courage, his capacity for raw honesty. She had taught him that worthiness was not something earned by perfection, but by simply being who he was, scars and... He found unexpected fulfillment in his new endeavors. Woodworking became more than a hobby. He began taking commissions, crafting beautiful, intricate pieces that allowed his creative soul to express itself in a tangible, grounded way. The scent of sawdust and fresh wood was a balm to his senses, the quiet focus a soothing meditation. His volunteer work at the community center, teaching math and science to underprivileged teenagers, brought a different kind of joy, a quiet satisfaction in helping others, fulfilling the healing instinct he had always possessed, but without the public pressure of a medical career. He was a teacher, a mentor, a guide, a quiet force for good in his community. His love for Liam and Finn blossomed, deepening into a profound, unconditional bond. He was their stepfather, their protector, their source of unwavering presence. He cooked their meals, read their stories, taught them the nuances of football and the joy of creating art. Their innocent laughter, their trusting hands in his, were a constant reminder of the profound joy and purpose he had found in this unexpected family. He was present, truly present. The future remains uncertain, a landscape of challenges they would navigate together. The legal battles against Ireland would continue, a messy fight. The curiosity surrounding the velvet mask would likely persist, a distant hum of speculation. His biological family might resurface, seeking to exploit his notoriety. He might never fully escape the shadow of his past, but they would face it together. Kate and River, two souls once lost, now found, building a life founded on honesty, vulnerability, and fierce, unwavering love. Their story was not one of perfection, but of resilience. It was a testament to the power of connection, of choosing to hold hands, even when ghosts still lingered. And in the quiet intimacy of their Edinburgh home, surrounded by the laughter of children and the profound peace of a shared future, River finally knew what it felt like to be truly whole. It started with a letter. Not an email, not a text, a real letter. Crisp envelope, no return address, delivered by hand, and left on the doorstep of their Edinburgh flat. Kate found it first, wedged between the Morning Post and a flyer for a local nursery school. She placed it on the kitchen table, unopened, while River flipped pancakes for the boys. Looks off, she said quietly, frowning at the cream-colored paper. River wiped his hands on a dish towel and picked it up. The handwriting was familiar. He knew before he opened it. He knew it was Ireland. Inside, a single page, typed, clean, cruel. Enjoying your happy little life? Shame if the internet found out who you really are. Velvet mask, medical fraud, addict, liar. You think she'll still love you when she knows what you've done? 10,000 pounds. 2 weeks. Or I release everything. You know how to reach me. No sick. Just a photocopy attached. An old prescription record with his name on it, dated from his worst days. A glimpse into the past he'd never wanted Kate to see, at least not like this. His stomach turned. Kate read it over his shoulder. Her hand flew to her mouth, then dropped. This is sick. River backed away from the table like it might explode. She found us. Kate's eyes burned. And now she wants money? Or what? Ruined your name. Tell people about your past? River, none of this changes who you are now. I know that, he said hoarsely. But that won't stop her. She's not doing this for justice. She's doing this to destroy me. To destroy us. The boys played in the other room, their laughter a cruel counterpoint to the dread settling over him like smoke. For a moment, River couldn't breathe. Kate took his hand, her grip firm. We fight this. Together. We don't pay her. We document everything. We will go to the police. But even as she spoke, he could see it, the doubt creeping into her eyes. Not about him, not yet, but about what this would cost. About the old version of him. Ireland might dredge up. 2 days later, Ireland emailed Kate directly. Subject line, just thought you should know. Inside, a grainy still from a hidden video. River backstage at a club, sweaty and shaking, pulling pills from a duffel bag. The timestamp placed it days after Vera's funeral. Below it, a single sentence. Some grief, huh? Still think he's your hero? Kate said nothing for hours. River's chest hollowed. This was how it would start, the unraveling. Ireland didn't need to shout. She'd plant quiet seeds, twist half-truths, make Kate question what she knew in her bones. And River? River wasn't sure he'd survive losing her again. Kate held the print still like it might bite her, the edge of the paper trembling slightly in her fingers. She sat at the kitchen table, face unreadable, brows furrowed. The silence between them stretched thin and tall. River stood across from her, the skin beneath his eyes shadowed, his voice low but steady. That's not what it looks like, he said. It wasn't drugs. Not recreational, not illegal. It was gabapentin, nerve medication. My doctor prescribed it when the tremors got worse after Vera died. Kate didn't look up. She stared at the paper like it might confess something he wouldn't. I know how it looks, he said, softer now, kneeling beside her chair. But I wasn't using it again. I wouldn't do that to you, not to myself. Kate finally looked at him. Her eyes were wet but calm. Why didn't you tell me you were taking anything? River's chest tightened. Because I didn't want to scare you or make it seem like I was slipping. I thought I could handle it alone. She exhaled slowly, folding the paper in half and setting it aside. You should have told me. I know. Kate nodded slowly, reaching out to take his hand. Her fingers laced through his, warm and grounding. Okay, she said. Thank you for telling me. River's breath caught. So you believe? She smiled softly. Yes, but her eyes didn't match her voice. River didn't see the flicker, that tiny flash of something dark and uncertain. He didn't see the way she avoided his gaze the moment he relaxed, how her thumb stopped tracing his palm. because she did believe him, mostly, but a seed had been planted, small, insidious, and Ireland knew exactly what she was doing. I can't go to the police, River said, voice sharp, barely above a whisper. His hands clenched at his sides, his knuckles pale. If I do that, she puts everything, not just the pills, everything. Velvet Mask, the shows, the lyrics, the footage, all of it. Kate stood across the room, arms crossed tightly, the folded letters still clutched in her hand like a blade. So, you're not hurting anyone. You're not breaking any laws. Why should it matter? It matters because I have an interview next week, he said, biting the inside of his cheek. Because if that alter ego comes out, if they see me as unstable, dishonest dual life River, I won't ever get a job I've worked so hard for. Kate's expression wavered. And me? Do I get to know all of it, or just the parts you choose? He looked up quickly, wounded. I'm telling you now. You're telling me because she forced you to. The silence swelled. I just wish, Kate added softly, you trusted me enough to tell me before this. I do, he said, voice cracking. God, I do. But I didn't want to drag you through this. I was trying to protect you. You don't protect me by keeping secrets, she replied, not cruel, but tired. Her voice had the frayed edge of a woman trying not to unravel. Then, a burst of footsteps down the hallway, laughing voices. The boys, Liam rounded the corner first, holding a netted enclosure in both hands, his face alight with excitement. River! They hatched. Finn followed close behind, barefoot and beaming. All of them, the monarchs. You said today might be the day. River's body shifted instantly, melting into something lighter as he knelt to meet them. They did, he asked, voice softening, smiling as he took the enclosure gently. Inside, the butterflies pulsed with new wings, delicate orange veined in black, fluttering gently as if still learning their shape. Can we release them now? Liam asked. Kate hesitated, but River nodded. Yeah, let's do it. They slipped on shoes and sweaters and walked to the back garden, the sky soft with fading daylight. The boys opened the netting slowly, whispering goodbyes like it was a magic ritual. River stood close to Kate, their shoulders brushing. One butterfly paused on Liam's finger before lifting into the dusk. He watched it disappear, his eyes wide. They don't even look back, he said. Maybe they don't have to, Kate murmured. River turned to her, but she didn't meet his eyes. That night, he went to bed first, exhausted. He left the bedroom door open, hoping she'd follow. But when Kate didn't come, and the house was silent, he stepped out into the hall. She was curled on the couch, a blanket wrapped tight around her shoulders, the television flickering blue across her sleeping face. River stood there for a long moment, watching the woman he loved fold herself into distance. Then quietly he turned off the lamp and went back to bed, alone. River noticed it in fragments. The way Kate flinched slightly when his phone buzzed, even if it was just a pharmacy reminder, how she lingered by the window longer than usual after school drop-off. How she started closing her laptop when he entered the room, not in guilt, but like she needed space that wasn't his. Then one afternoon while he scrubbed dinner plates and tried not to fall apart, he overheard it. Kate on the phone. Quiet. Careful. Paula. Hey, it's been ages, I know. No, everything's fine. I just... Pause. Do you remember River? From Berlin? He froze, hands still submerged in warm, soapy water. He didn't move, didn't breathe. On the other end, Paula must have hesitated because Kate's voice dropped another octave. Yeah, that one. Long hair, played guitar, had that breakdown at the party. River's jaw clenched. His reflection blurred in the kitchen window, hollow eyes and suds on his fingers. A ghost washing dishes in someone else's house. Kate laughed softly at whatever Paula said next. No, he's different now. I mean, I think he is. I think. Not I know, not he is. She was pacing now, barefoot in the living room. It's just, some things have come up, stuff I didn't know, and I'm trying not to freak out about it. But there's this woman, Ireland, and she's been messaging him. And now me, she's threatening to go public with things. Silence. Then, no, I don't think he's dangerous. Just layered. I don't know, that's the problem. I really don't know. River sank to the floor beside the dishwasher, heart thudding in his ears like static. Later that night, she kissed him goodnight with lips that trembled, and he didn't ask, because he didn't want to hear what she wasn't ready to say. But the next morning, after she left for errands, he checked the tablet. Kate had cleared her search history, except for one tab still open. Ireland Wyatt, Facebook. Her inbox blinked with a draft message, unsent, but addressed. Hi. You said you knew things about River. I'd like to talk. River stared at it like it might catch fire. It wasn't sent yet, but it would be, and when it was, something sacred between them would fracture. Not because she stopped loving him, but because she no longer knew if she could trust him. Kate didn't send the message that day. She waited. For what? River didn't know. For another answer from him, for some sudden surge of clarity that never came. But 2 days later, he saw it. The message had disappeared from the drafts. And when she returned from picking the boys up from school, her phone was gripped tighter than usual. She was quiet at dinner, said she had a headache, and excused herself early. River found her later, curled up in the armchair with her laptop open and her eyes red, as if she'd been crying quietly for some time. She closed the screen before he could. The next morning, she asked him about Berlin. They sat across from each other at the kitchen table, twin mugs of untouched coffee between them. Why did you really leave Berlin that night? Kate asked, her voice even, but her eyes shadowed. River blinked. You told me to. No, she said gently. I told you I needed space. You walked out like it was a punishment you expected you didn't fight. He stared at his coffee, fingers curling around the handle like a lifeline. Because I knew what was coming, the doubt, the withdrawal, the way I mess everything up once someone gets too close. Kate didn't argue. That silence was the sharpest wound. She continued, quieter now. Ireland told me things. I don't know how much of it is true. She says you were using it after Vera died. That you kept playing shows but wouldn't tell your family where you were. That you almost OD'd in a hotel room before the funeral. River's head snapped up. That's not true, he said immediately. I wasn't using it. I was spiraling, yes. I was depressed, grieving, angry. But I wasn't high. Kate didn't flinch. Then why didn't you say that before? Because I didn't want to relive it. Well, now we are. That stung, more than anything Ireland could have said. I thought you knew me, he whispered. I thought I did too, she answered, eyes glistening. A long silence stretched between them, full of bruised trust and frayed edges. Then came the moment he felt everything crack. I think, Kate said carefully, that it might be better if you stayed somewhere else for a while. River's breath left his body like a blow. Kate, I need space, River. Not just from the chaos, from you, to think, to protect the boys, to protect myself. He wanted to fight it, to plead, but he didn't. Because in that moment he saw it, the widening gap between her hope and her fear, and the way Ireland's poison had settled into the soft places of Kate's heart. He nodded slowly, then stood, walked to the front door, and left the house with his suitcase an hour later. Rain dripping from the gutters, the butterflies long since flown. The suitcase was too small for the weight he carried. River didn't pack much, just enough for a few days. His guitar case was slung over his shoulder, knocking against his hip as he walked down the slick Edinburgh street. The rain came sideways, wind curling under his coat, soaking the edges of his clothes like guilt seeping through his seams. He didn't look back. He couldn't. The image of Kate's face, tired, uncertain, distant, haunted him. The worst part was not anger, it was the silence. The way her eyes seemed to beg him to be someone else. He found a cheap Airbnb in a basement apartment near downtown. The windows were streaked with grime, and the heater clicked like it was trying to die. The bed sagged in the middle. He sat on the edge and stared at the wall, for hours. No music, no phone, just the dull roar of thought. By the time midnight came, the silence had curled around his ribs and settled there like something alive. The next morning, River cracked. He hadn't meant to call anyone, but his hands moved without asking. His thumb hovered over Kate's number, then swiped away. He called Adam instead. River hadn't spoken to him in months, not since the last time he tried to persuade him to walk away from the marriage. Not since River had laughed bitterly and said, "Where would I even go?" His thumb hovered, then pressed. It rang 3 times before the line picked up. Adam answered on the third ring. River? River didn't speak for a moment. His throat tightened. Hey, a pause. You okay? River didn't answer for a moment. His throat felt like sandpaper. I don't know. I think I'm going to die like this. Not now. Not dramatic. Just this. Alone. Everyone thinks I'm a monster, and maybe they're right. River exhaled. Adam's voice softened. Where are you? Flat, ... overnight rental. Downtown. She asked me to leave. Adam didn't speak immediately, and River filled the silence. I didn't cheat. I didn't lie. I tried. I love her. And now she's talking to Ireland, like she's the one who's been betrayed. Like I haven't been clawing my way out of a grave for the past 5 years. I know, Adam said gently. I know it hurts. River ran a hand through his curls, tugging at the roots. I've never lied to her. I've never hurt her. I told her I was on meds for the tremors. That was not what Ireland said, and she said she believed me, then told me to go. She believes you, River, Adam said softly. She's just overwhelmed. You both are. You're not okay, and you can't ask her to fix you while she's still healing herself. A pause. Then, do you want to hurt yourself? River closed his eyes. I don't know. I just don't want to be here. I don't want to be like this anymore. Adam's voice changed. Gentle, steady. Okay, you don't have to be. But you do have to stay. For her, for the boys, for yourself, even if you don't feel it yet. River let the words wash over him. They didn't heal anything, but they held something steady while he crumbled. I don't know what to do anymore, he whispered. Then just breathe, Adam said. Tonight, that's enough. She doesn't trust me. Because she's scared, River. River laughed bitterly. Everyone's scared of me, even me. Adam's tone shifted. Firmer, not unkind, you're not a monster. But Kate has a right to protect her kids. You weren't honest about everything. You let her walk blind into this thing. I was scared she'd leave if she saw the whole picture. So you let her fall in love with half of you. River went silent. Adam sighed. I'm not saying she's right, River, but she's not wrong to hesitate. You're volatile. You're still recovering. You're grieving Vera, grieving your marriage, and carrying God knows how much trauma. You love her, I believe that. But you weren't ready. And now she's drowning in your tide. River stood, pacing. So what? I give up? I leave and let Ireland win? I let Kate think I'm the villain? No, Adam said gently now. You get better. You get clean in the ways that matter. Not from drugs, from shame, from running. And if you still love her when the dust settles, you go back. You don't beg. You earn her. Something in River cracked. But River was already slipping. The shame, the weight. It was all too much. He didn't say goodbye. He hung up, then hurled the phone at the wall. It hit the wall with a hollow, useless sound. The irony made River laugh. Of course, he couldn't even show how broken he was inside. River stared at the wreckage for a moment, then grabbed his jacket and guitar and left. The bar was called the Hollow Lantern. Dim, warm, and humming with a quiet kind of sadness. The kind of place where lonely people sat with half-finished pints and pretended they were just thinking. River slipped in around 9. No plan, no phone, just the weight of his guitar case over one shoulder and the ache of something unspoken pressing into his ribs. He slid onto a stool at the far end of the bar, head down, hair falling over his face. The bartender, a broad-shouldered woman in her 40s with silver streaks in her black curls, gave him a long once-over before speaking. Looks like you've been through it, she said. He didn't lift his head. Yeah, that's obvious. She poured a glass of water, set it before him. I'm Dana. I don't serve spirits to ghosts. Are you planning on staying above ground tonight? River let out a rough breath, the closest thing he could manage to a laugh. I think so. Good. Water's free, so's music. He glanced around. There was a small corner stage, a single mic stand, and a bar stool with a scarred seat. A chalkboard nearby read, Open mic. Thursdays, bring your damage. Dana raised an eyebrow. You play? River hesitated, then nodded once. Are you any good? I don't know anymore. Well, she said, wiping a glass with the kind of slow patience only grief teaches. We've had worse. Poet who read breakup texts off her phone. Guy who played tambourine with his forehead. You're welcome to join the freak parade if you want. I'll think about it. You do that, she said, moving down the bar. River sat back and let the noise swell around. Laughter in one corner. A pair of old men arguing about football. A woman crying quietly into her wine glass, a man sketching in a notebook with ink-stained fingers. No one knew him here. No one expected anything. He let the noise carry him. Let his own mind quiet for the first time in days. He didn't drink, didn't need to. The ache in his chest was already doing the work. And in the background, someone took the stage and sang off-key about losing their dog and their dignity in the same week. It was terrible and honest. River closed his eyes and started to imagine the chords his own voice might carve through this room. By 10:30, River had almost talked himself out of it. The bar was full now, not packed, but close enough that the heat of the room clung to his shoulders like a breath he couldn't escape. Performers came and went. Some earnest, some are terrible. One guy read poetry about soup. River watched from the corner, his fingers twitching against the strap of his guitar case. He wasn't nervous, not exactly. He just didn't know if he could hold anything without shaking. Dana leaned over the bar toward him again, smirking. You gonna make me beg, mystery man? He shook his head. I don't think they need another sad boy with a guitar. She raised an eyebrow. Maybe not. But maybe they need someone who tells the truth. You look like you got more than a song in you. He hesitated, and then something shifted. Not courage, not hope. Something closer to surrender. He slid the case onto the floor and opened it. His guitar was worn at the edges, the wood smooth from years of playing in basements, bedrooms, late-night hospital stairwells. His fingers found the strings automatically, like muscle memory, like breathing. "All right," he muttered, more to himself than anyone else. Dana clapped twice and shouted over the chatter. "We've got a new soul in the room, be kind." A few people turned, a few didn't. No one cheered. That made it easy. River took the stool under the yellow light, adjusted the mic, tuned silently. Then he looked up. "I don't have a name for this," he said quietly, "but it's about losing something that never belonged to you in the first place." Silence. He began to play, a slow chord progression, minor, fragile, like bones pressed to bruises. His voice came next, soft, low, not quite broken, but close. "I built a home in the shape of her laugh. Held the roof with my breath, watched it all collapse. They called it love, but it felt like war, and I keep singing to a locked door." Someone in the back stopped chewing their ice. A man near the front lowered his pint glass. Dana leaned against the bar and didn't move. River's voice caught slightly on the second verse, but he kept going. "She said ghosts only haunt if you let them inside, but I gave mine a bed, a name, a place to hide. Thought I could be both doctor and flame, though if I fixed her, I'd stop being ashamed." By the time he reached the chorus again, the whole bar was listening, not clapping, not drinking, just listening. And when the last chord faded, River didn't bow. He didn't thank them. He just stood up, nodded once, and walked back to his seat. The silence cracked with slow, stunned applause. Dana slid a fresh glass of water toward him. "You just blew the fucking roof off this place, kid." River blinked. His throat burned. He hadn't expected anything to happen, but something had. Not outside, inside. The ache was still there, but for the first time in weeks, it felt like it had a rhythm. The applause didn't erupt. It spread. A ripple at first, then scattered claps, whispers, a low hum of curiosity passing from table to table like smoke through a vent. A woman near the bar leaned toward her friend, phone in hand. "I swear I've heard of him before. Somewhere online." Another man squinted, half-drunk, mouthing Velvet Mask, like it was a prayer or a challenge. River kept his eyes on his glass of water. Dana noticed. She came around the bar, wiping her hands on a faded towel, and slid into the seat next to him. Not close enough to crowd him, just enough to be there. "You didn't tell me you were one of those underground sensation types." "I'm not," River muttered. "Bullshit," she said, tipping her chin toward a group across the room. "Those girls are Googling lyrics. One guy's trying to reverse image search your guitar." "I'm no one," he said. "Just someone who used to be a lot more broken." Dana gave him a long look, then shrugged. "Well, you sang like a ghost who wants to stay." River didn't answer. His fingers tightened around the glass. In the warped reflection of the water, he studied himself. The curls were messier tonight, falling over his eyes like a curtain he didn't have the strength to lift. His nose was still too long, inherited from a man he never wanted to resemble. One brow arched too sharply from the childhood scar above his eye, a leftover from a night no one talked about. His jaw wasn't square enough. His cheekbones are too sharp, and the freckles, too many, dusted across his face like evidence of some softer self he'd outgrown. His eyes, heavy-lidded and dark beneath, didn't sparkle the way they were supposed to on stage. He wasn't handsome. He wasn't remarkable. Just a man who'd survived a few things too quietly. "I don't get it," he murmured, still staring at the water. "I look like shit. I sing about dying. Why do they care?" Dana smiled gently. "'Cause you meant it." He looked at her for the first time since leaving the stage. Her expression wasn't admiration. It was something quieter. Respect, maybe. Recognition. "You ever think," she said softly, "that maybe it's not about being a star? Maybe it's about not pretending anymore?" Across the room, a camera flash went off. Someone angled their phone just so, trying to get a shot of him without being obvious. Another girl whispered, "Google says he sounds like that guy." "Velvet something." River flinched. He took another sip of his water, let the cold bite the back of his throat, then whispered, "That guy's not real. He's just a mask." Dana's voice was low and certain. "Maybe, but you just tore the mask off in front of a room full of strangers. That's real." River didn't answer. Didn't need to. He just kept staring at the glass, the boy in the water, and waited for the part where he disappeared again. Dana gave him a hug at the door. It wasn't dramatic or lingering, just a firm squeeze from someone who had seen too many fractured men try to pour their pain into liquor or lyrics. She smelled faintly of rosemary and cigarette smoke. Her hand clapped once against his back. Get home safe, mystery boy. River nodded, throat tight. Thanks for the water. She grinned. Come back for the music. He stepped outside into the rain-slicked night. The air was cold and alive. Every puddle shimmered beneath street lamps like some version of himself he didn't recognize anymore. Somewhere behind him a faint click echoed, sharp, like a camera shutter. He flinched and turned. Nothing, just shadows. You're being paranoid, he told himself. You're nobody. Nobody cares. Still, he walked faster.